Hello everyone, my name is Jocelyn. I use she, they pronouns, and welcome to All We Make is Good. This is the Make Everything podcast where I talk mostly about knitting and designing projects that I'm working on, but I am also a digital and traditional artist, and so sometimes I have paintings to share, like today. Today I'm also going to be talking about some acquisitions that I got in, as well as 2 advent calendars that I just purchased earlier this week that I'm going to be finally doing advent calendars for this coming December. I didn't realize that they actually started doing their pre-orders for these advents here in April, so that was surprising to me. I didn't realize that they go on sale so early, but I did already get 2 of them, and I was lucky enough to get in from 2 of my favorite dyers. So I am really excited to be doing that. I wanted to allow myself to do up to 3 yarn advent calendars and then maybe 2 others. Like I want to do a tea advent calendar this year, or maybe a hot chocolate one or something like that. And then throughout the year I'll keep looking for maybe one more, because I really missed being able to do advent calendars last year. That was something that I really wanted to do, and I just did not have any money to participate in advent calendars at all. So I'm really thankful that I'm able to do it this year. But anyways, enough about that. Let's get right into it. I have 1 finished object and 1 work in progress, which is a design that I'm working on, but it is such a struggle. I don't think that it will ever turn into a pattern, but I am still going to show it. Yeah, it's been a lot of work. But anyways, we will start with this, and this is kind of like a mini cape, and it has a nice big hood on it, and this can actually go all the way out to like here. So quite big. You can see probably that it has not been blocked. It does not lay very flat. This does not lay very nicely. And the bottom is rolling up quite a bit. But I have been wearing it quite frequently. And I am just loving it so much. It is better than I thought it would have come out. This being the first time that I've ever made a hood. And the construction is based entirely off of like 1 episode of Well Loved Knits that I saw like a year and a half ago, where she talked about she was making a balaclava. And I just kind of was like, oh, I could probably make a hood with those like very basic descriptors of how she put that together. Anyways, I did it, and so I think it came out really nice. I had a lot of fun with this project. This was very experimental for me in a lot of ways. I will actually take it off to show you a lot of the details that I did. Excuse my hair. I just got a very light haircut yesterday, but my hair... Oh no, Myrtle! But my hair air dried, so now it's extremely frizzy. Anyways, please excuse my appearance. So you can see that this hood is very deep, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted an oversized hood, a very exaggerated kind of a look, kind of like Red Riding Hood. But some of the things that I decided to incorporate were I did lateral... let me see. I think you can see that. Yeah. I did lateral braids on some parts. So I did it around the outside of the hood, and then I did it across all the way around the neck at the smallest part. What else did I do? This is double folded. So this was how I started. Was I knit the circumference that I wanted the hood to be open to, knit about 8 rows, and then folded it over. So it's a very short brim, very short double folded brim. And then as I knit those 2 rows together, I did the lateral braid on that row as well, which is very tedious to do, over 150 some odd stitches, but we got there in the end. And then what I did from there was I knit this flap right here that goes right down the center, and on every row I increased on both the start and the end of every row, so the knit and the purl side, and that left all of those live stitches on the sides that I could go around and pick up later. So I finished over here, and then I started working back and forth across all the way around, and I also did some increases along the opening side so that it would get deeper and deeper as it went, and then sharply decreased towards the bottom there to get back down to the neck. And then I just did regular increases, I think maybe every 4 rows or something, regular increases all the way around for the cape to gradually bring it back out to a nice size. I ended up running out of yarn pretty perfectly. Actually, I didn't run out of the white and the beige, but I ran out of pretty much everything else. So, and that is exactly what I wanted to do with this project. This is using up all of the leftover yarns. You can see I've cleared out this section quite a bit. This is using up all of the leftover yarns from all of the hats that I made for friends and family this winter for Christmas gifts. Everything that was left over, I threw it into this project, and I love the colors together so much. They just went together so much better than I would have thought. And this was completely randomized. I didn't have any real like pattern that I was working off of. You can kind of see that it doesn't repeat at all or anything like that. So I had such a fun time with this. One of the more tedious parts was the ends. So inside here, when I make projects for myself, I kind of get very lazy, especially with the ends, and I just tie knots. So you can see all along the inside here where I switched colors, there's plenty of knots. And then all along, let's see, all along the inside here, it's kind of hidden by the folded over hem, which is kind of nice. But there's tons and tons of ends in there. And then there's this. And this is, because these are 1-row stripes, there was an end on either side. So inside the cape, there is a portion of completely felted ends. And this was an experiment for me. I knew that I didn't want to sit there and tie knots and leave like a really like not clean edge on this project. So I started trying to think of other ways that I could take care of the ends. And what I ended up doing is I went to Joann's because Michael's didn't have needle felting tools anymore for some reason. So I went to Joann's and I bought some needle felting tools. And I felted the crap out of these ends and felted them down. And it is beautiful. It's perfect. It's very soft, actually. It's softer than the actual yarn once it's been felted down. This side is a little less felted, so I might go back in and actually do some more work on that. And then again, when I block it, you know, I'm sure that'll felt it a little bit more too. I can like felt it in the water with my fingers. So that was a lot of fun. And I kind of went like felting crazy a little bit. I was having so much fun doing it. And what I ended up doing is I actually hand felted this statement button, which I am extremely proud of. And I had so much fun doing. All of the little ends that I took out of these, the sides of the cape, balled them all up, and I hand felted a statement button. I'm so proud of that. I know it's just a little button and you just felt it into a little ball, but I am so proud of this little detail here. And then I just stitched right through it, and then I did some little felting on the back to kind of secure that, but not too aggressive or anything like that. So that is this project, and I used up all of my scraps, which is exactly the goal, and I got a beautiful little cape out of it. So I have been enjoying wearing this so much. Like, you wouldn't believe how often I've been wearing this, even with things that don't match. I'm just like, whatever, put the little cape on. I want to wear the little cape. And I actually love it so much that I am very strongly considering going back to my favorite little yarn shop, Patchis, where I got all of these little wool skeins from. This is all 100% wool, by the way, non-superwash. He gets them in bulk he gets all of his yarns in bulk from mills across the country when they have like excess yarn that they produce. He buys all of that and he sells it off at really, really affordable prices. That's where all of these cones came from. That's where all of those skeins came from. So I am thinking about going back and getting some more of this yarn and making a full like knee or like mid-calf length cape and doing like statement buttons all the way down in the front and making it like a fully closed cape with the big exaggerated hood. And then David liked that idea so much, he asked me to make him it was called something specific, but basically it's a full robe with the big sleeves and everything, inspired by one of the robes in RuneScape, just kind of for something nostalgic for him. And so I'm thinking about like doing that, even though the weather's warming up and we're supposed to have weather that's like almost in the 70s this coming week. But anyways, everyone needs a full floor length wool robe in my personal opinion. So I am definitely very strongly considering going back and getting some yarn to do those projects, regardless of the heat. So that is my only finished object so far. Now we can get on to my one work in progress. Oh, there we go. Oh, so much to say about this one. Okay, let me take these out because it's actually not on the needles right now because I was going through and taking care of all of these ends. You can kind of get an idea. This is significantly weeded down on the ends, significantly. So let me see if I can flatten it out in the front or the backs to show you better. Anyways, this is going to be another saddle shoulder sweater. It's kind of hard to show you with the state of it. This might have to be shown a little bit better in another episode when I get a little further, because currently I've made it about halfway through the motif. This is a berry that I just drew up on one of my favorite applications, Stitch Fiddle, which I do have a subscription to, so some of the functions that I use to design these little motifs and stuff might not be available on the free version, just as an FYI. But I do love that application. So I designed this on Stitch Fiddle, and then I like rotated the berry a couple of times, and so there's 4 berries in all of the different rotated positions all the way across the front. It is so much work to do 5 different colors at the same time. It is so much work. And I'll never admit that I bit off more than I can chew because it is doable. It's just more effort than I wanted to put into a fully colorwork sweater. So I've decided that after one row or one repeat of these giant berries, I am actually going to not do any further repeats on that. What I am going to do is I designed some different, a different motif to go across the body. So I don't have it in front of me because it's on my computer, which is down here recording. But I will move to the side here and I'll put some pictures in of the motif that I designed, which is going to be a band that will go around the center of the body. And then I haven't decided yet if I'm going to do one more repeat of the berries along the bottom of the sweater. That might even be too much work for me. So I might just do... I actually have no idea. So I haven't completely worked out what I'm going to do with this design. I know for a fact that I don't like the neckline. I did a double folded neck, and the way that I worked the saddle shoulders and did the neck shaping, I really don't like the way that the neck actually looks. So I'm going to rip this out, make it smaller, and probably just do a single, what am I trying to say? Like one... Why am I struggling so much with this? I want to do ribbing, a ribbed neckline, but not a folded over ribbing. That's what I'm trying to say. Just one layer of ribbings. I don't know why that was so difficult. But I think that's actually what I'm going to work on today, is I'm going to rip out this neckline. You can see I've already put it on a cable. I'm ready to rip back to where I want to and then fix this neckline. And then after that, I will continue working on the body and hopefully have much more to show you next time, because this right here has taken me, I think, over a week to do, but I'm very hopeful for it. Let me talk about the yarn. So this is, all of the yarn is Loops and Threads Wool Like, which they no longer sell in stores. You have to get it online only, even though it is a Michaels brand. They don't sell it in Michaels anymore. You can only get it online. So I'm using the white, even though this looks like wine, it's called mauve, this color. And I only have one of these. This golden yellow, which I do have two of those. I'm using this navy blue, which I have quite a few of. And this was actually gifted to me by one of you. Thank you. Actually, so is this one. And then I have this olive green, or they call it olive, I think. And I have so much of this Loops and Threads yarn in my stash that I have been looking at these colors sitting right next to each other for a long time, knowing that I was going to make a sweater with them. I just didn't know how. And the berry motif is what I came up with. And I will actually put the whole motif here so that you can actually see what the plan was and what it's supposed to look like when it's done. And hopefully it does look like that. So I am really excited to finally be using up all of this yarn. This is, I believe, a light fingering, which is mostly acrylic and a little bit of nylon, which is meant to mimic sock yarn. So there's something outrageous, like 720 yards per 150 grams or something. But it's acrylic, so I know that's lighter than wool. So anyways, it's like a light fingering, and I am holding it double. So I'm just pulling out of the outside and the inside of the ball for all of the colors, which makes this a whole tangled mess to work with. And I am knitting it on US, oops, sorry, there's a hair. And I'm knitting it on US 5s. I think that's all I have to say about that project until I get a little bit further and can talk about it a little bit more. So I have some acquisitions. I actually mentioned this in my previous podcast episode, but I didn't have it in hand yet. So this is the Barnyard Knits, and this is a one-of-a-kind colorway in their sock base, so 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. This is one-of-a-kind bee. And she just happened to have 3 skeins of it left. So the plan for this is I'm actually going to knit a fingering weight turtleneck, a very high turtleneck, because I love turtlenecks and I haven't owned one in a very long time, apart from, like, I wouldn't even call this a turtleneck. This is just a high neck t-shirt. Anyways, so this is going to turn into a nice, slightly more fitted high neck turtleneck. And then with whatever is left over, I'm going to attempt to make a pair of socks. And I do fairly short socks, so I don't use up too much of the yarn. I think I usually use like, I think it's 46 to 50 grams of sock weight yarn when I make socks for myself. So as long as I have that left over, I'm going to attempt to make some socks with whatever's left of this. So that can start going up here for when I get to it. My knitting queue is all out of whack. I put together a little spreadsheet for myself and I send it out to my family and I put in their requests anywhere in between my projects. And now I just have too many ideas and their projects keep getting pushed further and further down the list, which I do feel kind of bad about, but also I knit for me, so. That is everything that I have to share that is fiber related. I did start working on a little tapestry, just to kind of get the feel for weaving, but I'm not like the biggest fan of how it came out, and it was more of like a test run anyways, so that I could get a feel for weaving before I finally do like an actual nice weaving project. And what I've decided is, instead of just using up all of my scraps, I am going to still use up as many of my scraps as possible within the tapestry, but I'm going to rip out what I've done so far, which is only like this much, and it took me like 2 hours to do it, but it was still really fun. So I'm going to rip that out, start over, and I'm going to try to like draw some kind of design on the... Is it the warp? Is that what it's called? I think it's called the warp. The string that goes up and down inside the loom. I think that's what it's called. I'm going to try and draw a design on that and then weave as if a printer was doing it. Because what I found was, like, if I do like one little section over here and then I do another little section like right next to it, and they don't catch the same warp threads, there's like a big gap because my tension is so off. And I think weaving all the way across... Myrtle, you are struggling today. I think weaving all the way across each row would help me with that, to catch all of the warp threads and not leave any like big gaps between color blocks. I think that would help me a lot. So I'm going to try and draw a design and go do that, I think. Okay, that's everything for fiber once and for all. I'd have one painting to show you, which I did try out some new techniques for. And this is inspired by my recent trip to Scotland, to Edinburgh. We stayed in Edinburgh for a while. So let me put that a little closer. So you can see where it was inspired by the Highlands, with the sheep everywhere. And the new things that I tried was I got some new brushes, and they were, I don't actually know the exact name of them, but it's the flat brushes that have like little wisps at the top. And that's how I got all of this lovely texture you can see in the mountains really well, with the little cottage up there and everything. And then for the sheep, I actually used some modeling paste that I bought. And I love impasto paintings, and I've always wanted to attempt to incorporate that. And so this was my first try, and I mixed it with the paint, which kind of gave it like a really matte look. And I was kind of like hemming and hawing over whether or not I really liked that look or not. But in the end, I do. I think it looks really nice. So this is my current favorite painting, which means that it is sitting on my altar in my bedroom. And I love looking at it every day. So yeah, I just thought I would share that with you. This is not listed on my website yet, but hopefully by the time I post this video, I will have gotten off my butt and put it on my website for anyone who is interested in this. And then I think once the original has a new home, then I will start listing some prints. So that's my new plan. But I love this painting. That is everything that I have to share with you for today. So thank you so much for watching. I will hopefully have something close to a finished object to share with you in the next episode, and maybe even some more overly ambitious plans. So I hope you have a good rest of your day, a good rest of your weekend, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.